Hi everybody, happy Sunday. This week we're going to follow up on our three-part series of how to get rid of things. We're on part 2.
We're Chris and Steve, an early retired couple who sold everything to travel the world full time. We share our nomad life, hikes, and vegan eats. Grab our book, 2 Carry-Ons and a Plan on Amazon and follow us on social. Subscribe to catch our video every Sunday.
So where are we?
We are in Crete, in Hania, Greece, and again, it's just been beautiful here. We're having a great time. We've got the donkey in the background.
What for?
We're having a party tonight. We've met some wonderful people here, and we're having a little Mexican fiesta. Why not have a Mexican fiesta in Greece? And I even got a haircut, so things are just fabulous.
Wonderful. Well, so if you remember from part 1, and I'll put a link right up here, there was 3 things that we really stressed as you're getting ready to get rid of all your stuff for your nomad life. Number 1 was make sure you know your end game. Are you leaving with suitcases? Are you leaving with a storage unit? What are you leaving with? Number 2, get ready for the mental game. It is very tough and very hard to get rid of all of your stuff. And the third thing was stop buying stuff. You don't need anything else. So as we continue into part 2, now we're going to talk about that time period when it's about 3 to 6 months before you're ready to go. So in the first video, it was about 6 months out. Now we're at 3 to 6 months out. So in our timeline, you would be about September or October if you're leaving on January 1st for your nomad life. I do want to point out in our book, two Carry-Ons and a Plan on Amazon, we have to-do lists, we have timelines, we have scenarios of everything we're talking about and what we actually did as a storyline through all those to-do lists. So if you really need to see all the stuff written down and you need checklists and to-do lists, those are in the book. So go to Amazon and grab a copy of 2 Carry-Ons and a Plan by Chris Engler. Okay, so in this stage, what stage are we in?
Yeah, so we're kind of in the make-do stage. So this is the time period where you've gotten rid of a lot of your stuff. For us, we had our kids come through.
Well, not a lot of your stuff, like your tough, like the artwork and the heirlooms. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But there's certainly less things that are in your house, and you stop buying things, and maybe you've gotten rid of your couch. So now you brought some chairs in from the dining room into your living room. So you're kind of, a little bit more of, is not as comfortable maybe in your house.
And, right, and things have stopped being perfect in your house. Like maybe you got rid of the twin beds and your kids are sleeping on air mattresses now, or maybe you had 7 skillets and now you only have 1. So you're in this phase where you've looked at the collective whole of your house and you've kind of sorted out things. So some things have already left with family members or whatever. Some things you're going to sell to unique buyers. Other things you're going to sell to the general public. Other things you're going to get rid of. You've got all these different piles now going on in your house. And what you have left that you're not being used is kind of the stuff that you can just barely get by with in your house, right?
Yeah. And that was the time period I remember that our house really kind of looked like crap. So for one, our goal was to get rid of everything before we listed our house. So we wanted to have our house empty when we were going to list it for sale. You might have a different strategy. You might have, really keeping your stuff looking really nice in your house because you want it to look as best as it can. Or you might be like getting rid of your things and then staging your house. That was another plan that we had to make our house really look good for sale. But also, if you are going to be selling your house, there are things you can be fixing and updating, like we redid the floors and we, painted the exterior of the house. So some things were really kind of in a disarray as we were in this, preparation mode in the countdown for our exit strategy.
Right. Fortunately for us, when we sold our house, the market was really hot. So we thought that we could sell the house empty. There wasn't a need to stage it because the market, we sold our house. Actually, we'll tell you about how we sold our house in the video next week. But it was very simple. Now the market is a lot different than we took off. So it may take some extra prettying up and beautifying of your house. One of the things that we realized when we were looking at our furniture in relation to possibly staging our house was our furniture was old and beat up and it would not look good staged in a house. So that helped us make the decision that we wanted to get rid of it and either sell the house empty or sell the house with a professional stager. So these are kind of the ruminations you'll be going through in your head as you're figuring if you have a house to dispose of, what you're going to do with it and how you're going to sell that in relation to your timeline of departing. Also, in this time period of your 3 to 6 months, you in the previous episode, we told you your end game is what you're departing with. Now the end game in part 2 is what you're doing after you leave. So this is the time period. This is the fun part of this period where you actually get to start thinking about your nomad life. So what were some of the things we started thinking about and doing?
Well, because we were just leaving with 2 suitcases, so that's it. But we did want to say goodbye to family and friends around the country. So we, first thing, we just downsized from 2 cars to 1 car. So that was a big transition. So definitely to make 2 situation there where the last 6 months, we only had 1 car. But then planning our road trip, where were we going to go once we left Denver, once we sold our house? We're going to visit my brothers. We were going to go to Big Bend National Park in Texas. So there was a lot of things that we were really planning. It was really an exciting stage to know that we were ending, closing, leaving, but then there were so many new things to explore.
Things going on. Yeah, we figured out that we would fly. Our first destination when we left was Dublin, Ireland, and we were going to fly there from Newark. So we planned this whole road trip around the country to see all these people, got to Newark, and then we made plans to sell our car in Newark, which actually ended up being really fruitful for us there. But so in this time period, this 3 to 6 months out, you are solidifying those departure logistics and and maybe even purchasing tickets and actually buying things in your future life. So the last thing we want to talk about is probably maybe the saddest part of this time period, and that's the saying goodbye to all your friends. Not only is this very emotional, very hard, but depending on how many friends and family you have and what that looks like, it may take quite a while to get around to your social sphere, to all the people that you want to say goodbye to. We actually, for me, I have a girlfriend group that we went hiking every Saturday, so we had to kind of get our last hike in. Steve had his biking group that he biked with, and so he had to get his last biking trip in. And then we just had various neighbors, and if you're employed, you might have to have some departure plans with your employees. If Steve was retiring, so we had to have retirement plans. So there's all this social stuff going on top of all the other stuff that you're going on. And then invariably, things or people you're not thinking about necessarily or weren't really remembering in your departure plans, they'll get wind of the fact that you're leaving, and then they all of a sudden out of nowhere will say, hey, we need to get together, we need to get a cuppa, we need to grab a beer, whatever. So this period of time ends up, if you're either actively doing those things or you're scheduling those things, it ends up being very active socially.
Yeah, it does, and it can be sad. It's kind of a bittersweet period that you've got this great adventure awaiting you, but you're taking the time to say goodbye to people and then say goodbye to things that are very familiar to you.
And we have one last tip, but before we tell you, please make sure you subscribe. We put a lot of effort into these videos because we really want to share back with you. And when you subscribe and you give us a like, we know we're giving you the right information that you want to have. So finally, the last thing that happens in this period is you may have a lot of people in your social sphere, especially in your work sphere, that may not know what you're doing or you haven't quite shared your plans exactly. And when they start hearing that you're selling everything and you're leaving the area and you're going as a nomad, it can be kind of difficult. People can get a little judgy, would you say?
Yeah, so everybody has their opinions, it seems, on, is this a good idea? It's a bad idea. But I love it when people say, oh my God, I can't believe you're actually just going to, leave the country and start traveling full time.
I could do that.
I could do that. Oh, I wish I had your life. Well, you can have our life.
And you can do it by doing all these steps. It's a 12-step program. Anyway, okay, next episode, we are going to talk about our estate sale, how we planned that up, how we did it, what happened at it, what happened after the estate sale. We have the secret of all secrets for how to get rid of the last of all your stuff, and then what happened when we actually left Denver. So if you have any questions or comments, please write them below. If you have any questions about what we haven't covered, please put them below as well. We really want to make sure the last episode, we hit everything we may have missed, and we want to make sure we are helping you figure out how to get rid of all your stuff and your scenario. So if we have a particular scenario you'd like some advice on, we'd love to give that to you as well. Talk to you later. Subscribe, like, see you later. Adios. Adios. Adios from a
Adios.
Mexican party.
Adios.
Ciao.